What up, motherfuckers? Welcome back to Pics. Here it didn't happen. I am your favorite fat hairy Hebrew. I am Fats King. This is my brother, the Yeti, always on my left. And today for the Xuligans, we have a very extra special guest. You want to say what's up, bro? Give them an introduction to who you are if they don't know.
Let me tell you exactly who I am. I am the face collector. I am the Northwest Xuligan, Jared Savage. I have been collecting faces all over the Northwest for the last 10 years, and I plan on growing that list even more. And I'm going to make sure that everybody in my path this whole next year, no matter where the hell I'm at, no matter where I debut, they're all going to find out that Jared Savage is the real monster from the Northwest. What's good, y'all?
Now, first and foremost, just imagine you got to like walk up to the call sheet and you see that that's who you're working that night. I'm going home. I'm going out into the car and I'm gonna think it out. I'm gonna think it over a joint as I drive away.
Yeah, that's a hard pass. I'm just gonna, you know what? Good today.
Just feeling that Hogan feel. That finish isn't gonna work for me, brother. but
you're gonna need it.
We're definitely so fucking glad that you joined us, man. Those that don't know, he introduced himself. What up, bro? We haven't really been able to talk for real since camp, and it's good to see you again, homie. How you been? First and foremost.
Shit, bro. I've been good, man. Life's been busy for sure, but I've been good, bro. I really can't complain. I appreciate you guys having me.
We appreciate you doing this. Anybody who ever wants to be on our show, it's always like, hey, thanks, man. We appreciate you guys messaging us. But so this has pretty much become my formal startup question. And it's just the easiest thing to get out of the way. How did you become a juggalo? At what year was it that you discovered Psychopathic Records, Insane Clown Posse, whatever it was that got you there? For some people, it was, LSP.
Hey, it could have been Misery. You don't know.
All right, so it's honestly, I can easily answer that. I'm very proud of how I came into all this. So I came in at a young age. I started this shit when I was 10. So
but I was young.
I remember seeing ICP on wrestling, right? And when I was a kid, I was like, "Oh, St. Clown Posse sucks." Don't know why. I think it was because they were heels in WCW. That was most likely it.
Yeah,
I remember the Backyard Wrestling game was about to drop because I remember the commercial, and I was already a mark. I loved wrestling. I've always loved it, but I saw that commercial and I saw Jay and I was like, yo, it's one of those fucking Insane Clown Posse guys. And I asked my mom to get me it. So for my 10th birthday, that was one of the games I got on PS2. And that was the introduction into all of it. That's where I first heard, I heard Chicken Hunting. I heard Hocus Pocus, Down with the Clown.
There were actually a lot of tracks on both of those game soundtracks that were actually pretty fucking fire.
Yeah, the second game just wasn't as great, but actually, I actually
preferred the second one. The creative character feature was way deeper.
Well, yeah, there was that. It was just they had a really weird control scheme. But I do want to mention, when the clowns were going through the wrestling and all that, that really probably was the most accessible point, at least the earliest.
Yeah, right.
General public,
right around the end of Malenko, the beginning of Jekyll Brothers. That's kind of when that was happening.
Yeah, and it really was. Being wrestling, you got a wide audience, so it's not just ninjas telling their homies and then growing that way. But when to have that national audience that they always they never really got because MTV wouldn't play them and things like that. It just really cast that wide net because he said 10 and I'm like, dang, well, how it's usually an interesting story the first time you hear their music, but I think it's interesting that wrestling was rather the way in. So thank you, Vince, I guess.
Or Eric Bischoff.
Or
Eric Bischoff or Paul Heyman. He actually, that's the thing. ICP actually worked in all three major promotions and TNA.
I didn't know that.
Yes, they did. The boys were active on the scene for a very, 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 very long time.
Huh. Well, I actually just saw that Jerry, the King Lawler.
Yep, OJ.
With his Hatchet Man hat, I was like, huh.
I've met him at a gathering. He's actually
that's what they said.
He's actually a very nice dude.
So there you go. That's my wrestling knowledge.
That wasn't very deep, but I'm glad.
No, it's not at all.
I'm glad you
Puddles.
I'm glad you tried. Thank you. So, what was it about the music that brought you in? See, since you had the wrestling knowledge of seeing them, what was it? Was it the imagery? Was it the story? Like what hooked you into being first and foremost a juggalo? Because like every Xuligan, we all know where we started. You know, it's just, it kind of is what it is.
Well, I think for me, it was like, all right, so I know the first thing, which is silly looking back now. I was a kid. They were cussing. I was like, yeah, fucking cussing. I'm totally down with this shit. Fuck yeah.
I can relate to that. Absolutely. The first time I ever heard how many times the whole sit down, I got a piece stuck in my butt cheek line used to make me laugh all the time. Just giggle my ass off.
Well, like it definitely started though with like, I guess that was like, oh, that's cool. But like overall, I enjoyed the sound of the music in general. Like the beats were fucking dope. I fucked with the fact that they had face paint on. I was like, that's different. I don't know if I was exactly into the whole idea of clown shit at that point, like going into that. But quickly, I was like, all right, yeah, no, I'm cool. Clowns, yeah, this is dope.
Okay.
It quickly grew on me.
This is a continuing of the question, but this is just something that just dawned on me. Would you have been as receptive to them if you hadn't seen them in the ring first and foremost? Because it seems like you, like me, wrestling influences most of all your feelings toward most entertainment.
I think at that time, I think eventually, if I would have found it, like sometime later, maybe I would have gotten into it still. But without wrestling, I don't think it would have been as easy for me to get into it now.
Okay,
that definitely helped.
That's kind of how I felt too, because I did hear the music before I saw them in the ring, but then seeing them in the ring after hearing a few tracks, like, holy shit, this is actually something that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I I watched wrestling, but to me, I was already into the clowns by the time they really started showing up, like on the WCW with the oddities and stuff. And I was just like,
that was WWF.
Or yeah, that was the WWF. All these damn name changes.
Blame it on the World Wildlife Foundation. They're the ones who sued Vince's ass directly into his butthole. Disclaimer ahead of time: we will be talking a lot of wrestling, and if you have a problem with that, then this one isn't for you. So fuck off on down the line now.
I hear Mr. Beast dropped a new video.
I don't know who that is.
My kid watches
he's got a burger place. That's about.
He does. He does.
Okay, so in going hand in hand with the wrestling and the liking of the music, I've always put horrorcore and pro wrestling very close to each other in the sense of it's gimmicky. We all know it's gimmicky. And I think that's why a lot of juggalos are wrestling fans. I feel like it's one of them things that it goes hand in hand, and people don't, if they don't want to admit it or not, you can see the evidence. It's staring at you.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I just like The Rock, man. It was just a really good, like I was a young teenager and like The Rock's there. I'm like, that dude's fucking amazing.
The Attitude Era
became The Rock.
The Attitude Era was a very special time. We can talk about that because that's, you were alive during that. So who was your guy? Who was your favorite wrestler?
Oh, bro, it's easy, and I gotta say it's funny because your Skinner that you got. Kane, bro. Kane was my favorite wrestler as a kid. I'm not gonna say he's not still up in that category, but like after getting in the business, all that's kind of changed. There's certain people I like more now and people I like less. But Kane's still up there. But as a kid, he was always my number one. Undertaker was number two. And then like during that, like when he came back in 04 doing the fucking dead man shit right after all that American Badass stuff ended. Mm-hmm. Oh man, it switched. Undertaker was my guy then.
See, I always found myself, I was caught in like a holy trinity between Mick Foley, Kane, and the Undertaker. They were the closest to horror movies you were going to see in wrestling. You know what I mean?
I can agree with that, especially like I'll say right now, Kane for sure. I mean, when you look at like how he would sit up, the way he'd move his head and shit, like he is without a doubt, like I remember right, I think Jim Cornette said that like when they were working on his character and doing all the developmental shit before he even debuted, basically they were like, you wanted you to do this Michael Myers type shit. I fuck with that.
I can see it.
That,
I can definitely see that in the case
yeah.
of Kane and some of in the case of the Undertaker. Okay, so we're gonna go back to that subject, but I want to pause for a second, and I want to know. So we found out how you became a Juggalo. How did you become a full-fledged card carry member of the Church Azul?
All right, so
It's hard to
I'll
say.
just say like the whole
Stuttered.
story. This is like the first time I've ever been able to like, I guess, talk about it. I mean, people know like my homies and shit, obviously. So all right, I was super fucking with LSP, and Diabolic was my favorite rapper at that point. I was super fucking with Diabolic. I saw pictures of Zool. You know, I'd see the Forever face. I was like, oh, that looks cool. It looks like Leatherface. What's up with that? So it imagery wise definitely interested me. And then I saw that Diabolic did the track with him, the trunk. So I was like, okay, I'll give this a listen. And then, you know, long story short, eventually, you know, they were gonna be all together as a group, and it didn't happen. I still kept fucking with AXE. Like it just gave me this feeling that I got it was the same feeling I got when I listened to ICP. It was all the same shit, the same magic, all of it was there. And this was like really early on because Psycho and Head of Horns were like the only albums out at that point. So this is really early on. This is back when like there's only a handful of Xuligans and
This is pre M&E for anyone who doesn't know the era. That's where we're at. We're way before where the guys are now.
This is I found them the beginning of 2016. So when I went to my first gathering, which is 2016, Wizard of the Hood, which was a fucking incredible gathering, I knew that they were going to be there. LSP really wasn't going to be there. I was like, oh, that's whatever. But I knew they were going to be there. And I was like, all right, well, for sure, I'm fucking going. I want to see AXE. And as soon as I got there, I remember like we fucking drove cross country and it was hell. Like a lot of craziness happened on that way. But finally getting there, I see you doing a Forever face. I was like, yo, where's AXE at? And he just points. And I go in parking lot, like this parking lot party and shit still, like night before.
Oh, the parking lot parties. They're always one of my favorite parts of the gathering, man.
So he points though, I go down and it's like dark. I really can't see shit. But I find Bill, which honestly, the whole time I really wasn't sure who the fuck I was talking to because I couldn't see. Like it's dark as fuck. But I just heard a voice and I knew I was talking to someone. And you know, we just started chopping it up, and he knew who I was already. He was like, "Oh, you're Jerry Plick, right? The wrestler." And that fucking blew me away. I was like, "Whoa, okay." And yeah, started chopping it up. I only had $100 at that point, and I bought a Forever Face for 50. I was like, whatever. I don't care if I eat. I'm gonna get this Forever Face. So I bought my first Forever Face from Bill that night, and the next day, broke my ankle like right after the UPS set. They heard about it and shit. Fucking, I came back to the gathering even after breaking my ankle. Like, fucking had like crutches and shit. And I went and watched their Blunts and Brews set. Fucking, I remember getting close pretty much with everybody that was like tight with them, really, you know, like I just would chop it up with people, you know, just fucking, I was super happy to be there. And I was excited to tell anyone, like, hey, I'm fucking here for Zool. Like, this is why the fuck I'm here. Broken ankle and all. I don't give a fuck. And yeah, I ended up, you know, seeing that set. I kicked it with him after. And then progressively, just like the next year, OKC, we actually did the first Camp Zool, which was actually just a camp, you know, at the gathering.
Mm-hmm.
We were there a lot. I, you know, kicked it with him a bunch then. And then started playing games, you know, with him a couple months later. And those are my brothers, you know. That's kind of how I got, I guess, like really sucked into all this. You know, now
that's what I tell people when they get a little starstruck by meeting or being around artists they enjoy. It's like be a normal person. Don't be a hound dog. Like, let them know you enjoy their shit, but you don't have to like blow them where they stand. And it's real easy. Be human, be personable, be fucking funny. Like that's the one that gets me my saving grace more than anything is I'm fucking hilarious, evidently.
Well, and don't be rude. Like, don't just come in there running and screaming and like cutting people off and interrupting and shit.
Yeah. Just be personable. Like that's it's really that easy. And for you having basically being, we'll almost say on the ground floor of the movement, is it crazy to see where everything's gotten in not a short time, but in a relatively short time comparative to other things?
Oh, absolutely, bro. Fuck. It was literally only like you said, that was 2016. 2 years later, bro. Like, well, yeah, because it was OKC. Then that year after, 2018, that was their last performance, and then all of a sudden, bam, they're on M&E. That, yeah, it fucking insane, bro. Because like I was gonna say, like in the beginning, there was only a handful of Xuligans, and we all kind of knew who each other were. Like it's me, fucking Dylan Ziegler, Heather Greenwell.
Shout out Lady Zul. We fucking love you, Heather.
Like there was only like a handful of us. And now it's like, holy shit, there's so many more. I see Xuligans all the time, and by people you may know that like I haven't met yet. It's insane to me. But I'm so proud of them. I'm so fucking proud that everything is grown to this point. I'll say right now, like the shit that I said before the boys went off at their last set at camp, like I meant every fucking word. Like I've watched this shit grow, and it's all because of every single Xuligan. Like, yes, the boys have put in the work 100%, but the Xuligans are what power this movement. They are the fuel that keeps this motherfucker going. Like, this is insane, definitely, to see what it has grown into, and I'm very proud to be here. I'm very proud to have been here as long as I have been. And I can't wait to see what the future holds for this whole movement as well. Because it's just going to grow bigger and bigger. I mean, think about like Camp Zul this year. Already.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for two. And the best part is that it seems like, and it's been spoken of before, and I'll say it again. It doesn't matter when you found out about them. This isn't a who's been down longer contest anymore. This is a loyalty contest.
Exactly.
And I feel like it makes everything feel so much more pure. Because like you're an OG in this. You are. I have 3-4 years tops. That's how long I've been fucking with them. But I've been treated as though I've been around this whole fucking time. And from OGs such as you, Heather, the homie Eddie, Shadler, various other OG Xuligans have been just really fucking cool and welcoming to, everyone.
Well, overall, like, in my opinion, I'm just going to, shoot here. Like, use my little wrestling terminology.
Yeah, we're shooting right from the fucking hip.
At the end of the day, I'm a juggalo through and through. This is what brought me here. But the juggalo scene has become really fucking toxic. There's a lot of bullshit all the time. The Xuligan community is not like that, where we have a lot of love in it and acceptance. And there's no, like you said, there's none of this fucking, oh, I've been down longer than you, so fuck you, I'm fucking better than you. There ain't none of that bullshit going on. Like, it doesn't matter how long you've been in this. Really, we're all still relatively new to all this shit because it hasn't even been around that long. So if you came in yesterday and you're like, you fucking enjoy this shit just as much as I do, or you do, or any of us do, you're gonna get just as much love from me. It doesn't matter. Like, we are one. That shit is the truest statement.
It's catchy, but it's not a catchphrase.
Yeah, no, it's not a catchphrase. It's legitimately the honest truth. We are one. There's no denying that.
I still got to say, as much as I love that song, my favorite thing in the world is hearing drunk Xuligans not be able to spell.
Well, I mean,
it's
not really fair.
It's not fair, but oh god, it is so fucking funny.
No, it's fucking hilarious.
But okay, so now we get to talk about what I've been waiting to talk about for this entire time. I want to know how did you first and foremost, how did you decide you were going to be a wrestler? Because that's a decision in and of itself that requires a story, I'm sure.
Yeah, man, that whole story is very interesting. So, all right. I knew my whole life that I wanted to be a wrestler. There was never any doubts in that because wrestling was like always the one thing I had. Like when I was getting bullied at school, no matter what, like I was known as like the kid who liked wrestling too much. I actually remember when my grandma, like, she had to pull me out of school, like homeschooling and shit. Like she got all these school records and whatever. And like the superintendent's right, watches wrestling too much. Like that was noted, right? So I'm just this fucking weird kid, supposedly everybody who loves wrestling too much. But I knew it was what I wanted to do.
Well,
And
you know, why didn't they like, I don't know, try to get you on the wrestling team instead of like talking trash?
You know, encourage it or something.
Yeah,
Shit.
something. Jesus.
looking back, what makes like even less sense to me, they were talking all that shit, and then it was like the year before I got pulled out of school. I remember there was an indie show at our gym called Powerhouse Wrestling, and they had fucking Honky Tonk Man as the star attraction.
There's another wrestler with Juggalo
show.
roots.
Yep, that's where he worked fucking some of the original JCW shows. But yeah, I met him and all that. That was my first show. But it's just funny looking back. I was like, damn, you guys are cool with taking that money and fucking booking this shit in the gym, but you're gonna say I watch wrestling too much. So like I said, you know, like that was no matter what, wrestling was gonna be my path. I knew that. And then I was 13. I was already, you know, involved in the Juggalo scene up here. You know, I was just starting to like make friends in the Juggalo world. And this dude, I'm gonna be real, not, you know, he's a dickhead, whatever. So I'm probably not gonna really name drop him, but there's a dickhead that was close to the scene who was also involved in wrestling. Now he used to bullshit me, would be like, "Oh man, I'm going to Alaska. I'm gonna fucking go meet with Dixie Carter and do a TNA." He would fucking bullshit me, and like for a minute I'd believe it because I was a dumbass kid, you know. But he hit me up one day and was like, "Yo, there's a free show going down. Come on out. I'm reffing it." So I went to that free show. He told me to boo this dude named JD Mason. Ended up coming to find out, like, you know, that dude's a juggalo, or well, I mean, he is. I don't know how to put it. He's definitely had his fair weather, you know, bullshit with it, but he's definitely, you know, still down. I ended up chopping up with him then, like after the show. And then a couple months later, I hit him up about trying to get training for one of my friends. And he was like, "Oh, well, I'll train him." So I went to like the little meeting they had, and he could tell like I wanted to wrestle. He knew that I was probably the one who wanted to wrestle more. And my homie ended up moving away, but I still kept training with JD. So we built a fucking, oh man. All right, so we didn't have an actual ring at that time. Now he was
There never is a real ring.
No.
It's always fake. It's just imagination.
Dude, this one was ridiculous. For we built a backyard ring out of fucking I think it was like 80 tires and 2x4s and plywood.
Okay, first and foremost, I want to know what math and what intelligence was thought into the number 80. Why was 80 tires specifically chosen?
You would go on like Google, you could find fucking plans to build backyard rings, and that was the basic one that we found.
80 tires.
Huh.
Okay.
And you don't just buy them, by the way, because no one's gonna try to fucking pay that much money.
That's a lot of tires. You could probably actually like just buy a ring for about that much. So these are definitely junkyard use tires.
Or procured for nefarious
like,
purposes.
Okay, well, there's that.
They're definitely junk tires. I would go to like Big O's and whatever, and they would have junk tires they just let you take. So my grandma would take her big ass trailer we had, and I would fill that. Like I don't know how many runs we did, and whenever they passed away, those tires were still in my backyard. So those, God, I feel bad about that looking back. But yeah, that's what we did. We fucking built the backyard ring. I learned how to bump. I trained for, they said I started when I was 13 with that. 14. I didn't have my first match till I was 18, so I had a good amount of training in between that time before I finally got to work.
How was
And
your
hell, my first shows, like,
did you actually go to
ahead.
a wrestling school, or was it just working with this guy?
It was just with JD. And honestly, even though I didn't go through an actual school, JD is one of the best workers up here. And I credit him for everything that I've learned. Honestly, he's really good. And even if we didn't, do it the right way completely,
Well,
it turned
there is no
into
right and wrong way. Everybody has the way they break in. I was just curious. How was your okay? Let me rephrase my words. How was your training experience? Like, how was learning the ropes? No pun intended. I hate myself for that one.
it was interesting because of the fact that I hadn't like actually got to step into an actual ring, and it was just this backyard ring for so long. Man, it made me want it more. So like the once I actually got into a ring, I was like, holy shit, I can't believe I'm finally doing this. I mean, since we didn't have ropes, it was mainly he was showing me a lot of the basics, locking up, arm wrenches, headlocks, fucking
Footwork,
hip tosses, all your basic shit. I would just work a bunch of training matches with him, and I learned also I learned how to work that way. Like when you don't have ropes and shit, it makes you realize what you actually like. It makes you realize you got to do more when you have less. You got to think different. So
absolutely.
I honestly think that was good for me. It did eventually though. Like we did eventually open up an actual school. We did get a ring, all that. NWP finally started up, et cetera, et cetera. So I didn't do that forever, but it's just the whole school process didn't start until after I started working shows.
Okay, that
I still
actually.
feel like I still feel like I got good training though.
Okay. When you actually did get to transition from your ring to an actual ring, did it feel like it took another getting used to what you were doing, or did you kind of like fish to water with it?
I'd probably go with the fish to water thing more than anything.
Like you were just
The only
it was the natural element you were supposed to be in from the beginning. You knew it.
yeah. The only real difference with it was just having to learn how to run ropes. I will say though, the one cool thing is like I said, we started with the backyard ring in my yard. Well, then it turned into I had the ring in my yard once we got our actual ring, and I think we ended up having like 3 or 4 different rings that we cycled in and out of being in my grandparents' yard. So I had access to that ring like every day. I would just go out there and fuck around. I would just hit the ropes, take bumps, just whatever. I just lived in it for like pretty much until my grandparents passed away. That's what I did
Well,
because I had access to it.
this is something you see a lot in guys that are fans that decide to break into the business, as opposed to athletes who fail at their sport and decide to break into the business. There's a love that comes from it, to where hell, this might not lead to anything, but I love what I'm doing, so I'm in no way, shape, or form going to stop. So first, kudos to you for pushing through the early days in that shit, because I'm sure that was a bit disheartening, but just knowing you were doing it was probably the motivation you needed. Would I be correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It wasn't fun exactly in the beginning where I wasn't working shows and I knew that I had this gap in between of like I said, I technically started training at 14, if I'm right. So like just right before I turned 14. So yeah, between there and like 18, I was like, yeah, 4-year gap of like knowing that I'm not gonna wrestle any shows. That sucked. But I knew that I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna keep doing this shit, whatever. Once I finally started working shows, yeah, it's like you said, dude, there's a possibility this isn't gonna work out. To tell you the truth, I didn't start even really getting any traction until the last few years. And I've been in this shit, like I said, almost 10 now. Fucking, it doesn't matter, if you make it or not. It's about the love. It's about just being able to do it. So yeah, that's the motivating factor, I guess. Now it's a lot more. There's a lot more motivation to it because of the fact I'm starting to get traction and the Xuligans actually fuck with me, and I'm starting to see like, oh shit, there's people actually care about what I'm doing.
Did you know that you were going to? Did you always know you were going to be a heel? That's a bad guy for those that don't know. Did you always?
If they're watching our show, I bet you they know what a heel is.
There are randos who pop up.
If they're watching this far in, well, welcome. Thank you for hanging out, you random person. Don't hit the subscribe button.
Like, share, subscribe. Thank you, motherfucker. So yeah, did you know that you were going to be a heel or a babyface? That's a good guy. Did you know what your psychology was going to be in the beginning, or was this something that you developed? Like, we'll get to the character in a moment, but I want to know just the beginnings of the psychology of you as a wrestler.
So before I even like came up with anything, my trainer was always like, well, I'm going to tell you what you're going to do because they're my shows, etc., etc. And he trained me. And I will say, I don't know if I fully agree with that, logic. And I'll even tell him that. I don't give a shit. JD, if you watch this, fuck you. Anyway.
I love that people use our show to tell people. People use our show to say fuck you to people all the time.
Oh, well, I'm glad that.
And don't shoot us. We're just the fucking messenger, all right? We had nothing to do with this.
It's not their fault. So, man, all right. So when it comes to the whole thing, though, with like JD telling me basically what I was going to do, I didn't know what I was going to be, if I was going to be heel or face. He did tell me originally, he's like, oh, you're going to be the super crusher or the super destroyer. Some kind of just like 80s fucking just random like generic heel gimmick. And I was not really.
I can hear Black Sabbath playing as you walk to the ring.
Cause I am a real Russian. That's the bad guy, right?
Yeah, that's the bad guy.
I don't think overall I would have enjoyed doing that. But when I like actually started, I started out as face, and I enjoyed being face. Actually, I like.
What was your first character? What was your first gimmick?
Oh man, so right now, to tell you the truth, I'm on my second rendition, I guess, of my gimmick. My gimmick really hasn't per se changed much. It started out with just a name. I was the Masked Juggalo. I had a lucha mask. I actually wore a Dr. Wagner mask. And that's what I did for a hot minute. Then eventually I added on Jared Savage to it. My trainer wanted me to just have a name, not just Masked Juggalo. And then it was 2016. It was like right after that first gathering. I hit up Bill and I was like, yo, I got this idea. I want to start wearing the forever face out to the ring. And I do my entrances. I want to be the Northwest Xuligan. What do you think of that? And he said it was cool. He loved it. And then, that's kind of where the whole Northwest Xuligan shit started. And then eventually it turned into me dropping the mask that I had originally because I didn't want to do the lucha mask anymore. I always wanted to work in something else. And I always wanted to work in the forever face once I saw that. But I didn't know how possible it was. I was like, man, is it going to rip on me? Like, and plus knowing how much forever faces cost, I'm not trying to fucking
they're not fucking cheap.
Exactly. So I don't want to have to fucking buy a new one every time I turn around because someone fucked it up. But eventually I got to transition into this, and it's been great. I fucking love this way more. Fuck doing the lucha mask. Like, it was cool for a while, but man, this is a whole different ball game.
As somebody who wears one of these masks frequently and is quite active while wearing one, is it hard to work wearing because a lucha mask compared to a latex mask is going to be a completely different feel?
No, I don't think it's actually hard at all. So for me, the best part about my mask, I had someone who does actual like leather work and shit. He custom did the straps for me.
Oh, so shit!
I think like two on each side, and then the one strap up top, and then it's got like the circle fucking hook in the back with another little extra piece that can pull like the bottom part, so I can get this shit all like stretched to my face perfectly. So It's honestly just like having some like just a second set of skin on, dude. Like it's nothing. It moves with me. It's really not hard at all. And plus, like as far as vision goes, it's good.
Well,
I
yeah,
was
because
gonna say like
your depth perception
it's,
isn't really as fucked with the
yeah,
eyeballs being that big.
yeah, no, because I mean, like I said, man, it's pretty tight on my face, so like I've got decent vision. Plus, eye holes are big. The only ones that like I've had like some masks are different. I will say that. Like I got a bonehead that I wanted to do this with. Only reason I haven't is because the fucking eyes are a little bit smaller on it, and
Mm-hmm.
it's too tight to my face, so I couldn't work in that one. But this one right here, perfect. Hopefully my next one I do this with, hopefully it'll be just as perfect. But
Now,
I'm definitely gonna keep with the new straps because yeah, that makes the big difference.
you had said that you was gaining a lot of traction in this gimmick, and that's when you know that you've found what you're going to do as far as a character, and you know that as far as a rapper or as a wrestler in this instance. So when you started gaining traction, you actually pushed so much that you were given a fucking title. What was that like when they told you that you were going to be a champion?
So they told me that they were thinking about giving me the belt, and I had vocalized that I wanted it because at that point, NWP's roster has kind of like it. We were going through a kind of rough point where we didn't really have a lot of people. We were losing a lot of people, and the ones that we did have who were worthy of having the belt had already had their opportunities. So I finally was like, hey, I've been doing this shit forever. I was literally in the first match NWP ever had, period. I was in the first match. I was the first Washington State champion. I was the first tag team champion. So I've done a lot of shit by that point. So like I said, I felt like I had at least some kind of ground to stand on to vocalize what I wanted. So they said that they were fucking around with the idea. And then the night it actually happened, I did not know it was going to happen. We were doing a championship rumble, and I was told I was going to be one of the last two. It was me and my trainer. So he was going to be at the ropes. Or no, actually, sorry. I was going to be at the ropes. I was going to fucking back body drop him over the top, and he was going to catch himself, and I would have turned around. He would have pulled the rope down. I'm going over.
Yeah.
Well, I do the back body drop, and all of a sudden I hear the bell ring, and I'm like, oh shit, okay. So that was a pretty crazy feeling. Like I had to like not let any of those emotions hit. I had to just stay in gimmick. So I fucking sold the shit out of it.
I bet that
like,
was so fucking hard.
oh my God, it was, dude. That was when I came to the back and everybody was clapping and shit. It was definitely a very proud moment because I worked my ass off to get to there.
It's really cool that they're able to keep that a secret and not really let you know, because I think that makes for better storytelling.
And it would make the reaction that more genuine.
Yeah, you're not, because there, if you got to try to hide that. Okay, like I got to make this look like I'm not going to win, and I got to do all these things, and you start to overthink things, and you just go out there and you think you're doing what you're supposed to do. You're going to take that loss, and then it's like, wait, oh shit. This didn't happen the way I thought it was, and I think that's really cool they were able to do that.
Well, that night too, that was the night that I lost the Washington State title as well. So I'd already worked once that night. So I was just like in this mentality, like, oh damn, well, I guess that little push has ended. Let's see what happens next. And I was just gonna go out, do the rumble, and didn't think anything of it. But yeah, being surprised with it, fucking amazing, dude. Very proud of that whole moment in general, but it was a really good feeling that they did that for me. That doesn't happen too often in our business. You usually know everything. That's how the whole show works. So the fact that they could hide it from me, I'm still pretty surprised. That was cool.
So what do you think the worst bump you've taken in the time you've been in the business is? Like, because everybody has those horror stories where they landed wrong, or it was just a spot that was like really, really rough. Like, so what do you think that was for you so far?
I haven't really had any I haven't really had a lot of injuries really. There really hasn't been any like one that really fucked me up worse than anything else. But there's been a couple of times where I've definitely like gotten hurt a little bit in the ring where I'm like, oh shit. Like there was one point my trainer went to give me a forearm. We're doing a street fight. I leaned in too much. I don't know why I did, but he hit me full fucking force and I almost got knocked out, dude. That was pretty rough. I was shit, man. When I first started, I was in this hardcore match with this one dude named fucking Buddy Highway. I can't remember his new gimmick, but dude was back then doing some shit. He was snorting some stuff, doing shit that I didn't realize actually going into the match. We had a hardcore match. I got fucked up. I mean, he fucking beat the shit out of me. That was probably the worst thing I've ever been through in anything as far as like, you know, in the ring. But like I said, as far as like anything going wrong, nothing's really went wrong.
That's good for you. I'm glad you haven't had any instances like that.
I've definitely had like, you know, I fucked my knee up literally just by stepping and it fucking hyperextended it.
Well, as a fan of the business and something I've watched for a very long time, the thing that I've noticed is the worst injuries happen on the little shit. It's the things that shouldn't hurt you that end up taking months off of your time in the ring, like
stand
Triple
up
H.
and break a quad.
Oh yeah, when Triple H blew his quad out taking a step, or you think about Seth Rollins doing a flip off the rope and landing on his knee wrong and it buckling underneath him, or God forbid the Sid Vicious incident.
Yeah. Well, like with the knee hyperextending, that was literally going to be like a little 30-second match. It was literally going to be, I was going to run at my trainer. He was going to like move out the way in the corner, was going to whip me into the other corner, and he was going to come over and fucking hit me with a forearm, and I was going to just sell it like I got knocked out. Well, I ran over to him. If we get to the corner, he's about to whip me, and when I took that step, that's when it fucking felt like it was going inward. And I fell, dude. I rolled out, dude. There was no way I was getting up. I was like, I didn't even know what happened. I was like, what the fuck? But yeah, it's anything can go wrong at any time, even off simple shit, just like taking a step.
Yep.
You said Triple H, man. Fuck.
No. So is there anything that when you watching, I'm not asking you to name any names, but when you see somebody in the ring, is there anything that you can see right off the bat that you don't like? Like if you can tell, is there any pet peeves or anything that stand out? Like, for example, do you have a problem with the old slapping of the thigh before the super kick?
Not really. I don't care about that because I get it.
Okay.
I care when it's very blatant though. Like you got to hide that to some degree. I feel like if you're gonna do the slap, just I don't know, be smart about it. I hate when dudes do it and they're just willy-nilly just doing it in front of everybody and it doesn't even look like they're trying to hide the fucking slap. But yeah, there are some things. You know, I guess one of the big things is psychology. Like all right, so I'm not one of those people who fucking hates spotty shit. I love all the spotty stuff. I watch AEW every week, so spotty stuff doesn't bother me. And hell, there's plenty of spotty shit deathmatch wrestling, which I love watching as well.
Oh, I'm a big fan of GCW. I've only just recently got into them, but holy shit.
Dude, that honestly, GCW is what, when I took like a 2-year hiatus, that's what brought me my love back to want to come back to wrestling. So GCW, I credit for a couple things.
Would you ever work for them? If they ever asked you, would you ever work there?
If they asked me to, absolutely, I'd work there. They haven't yet. I've been hit up by some companies that are like that book some of their guys, but I haven't worked with any of those promotions yet. No, honestly, that probably won't end up happening until I make my move, which a couple months. So hopefully this year sometime we'll see some shit like that pop up.
I'm looking forward to the next time we can see each other in person. I will say that. So how did you get in on the whole Camp Zool thing? Like you'd been telling me shit before we'd even gotten there about what could or couldn't be going down. Like, did you ask them if you could do that, or did they reach out to you?
No, they hit me up. I just got a call one day from Bill, just like, you want to do this? He's like, you want to host? I was like, yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, there was a possibility of it being more things happening that didn't end up going down, which is okay.
There's more years.
Absolutely putting me up. Like overall, I could have been okay with not doing anything. You know, I was gonna be at camp no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
But being asked to do something fucking incredible, that was a no brainer. It was like as soon as I got asked, "Do you want to host?" Fuck yeah, absolutely.
Good impersonations, by the way. Very, very good. It's been a long damn time since I've heard a really good Randy Savage.
Well,
But everybody does it.
No. People do Randy Savage. I said a good.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody does it, but there's very
good one.
There's very few good ones, and everybody thinks they can because they saw a fucking Slim Jim commercial in the 90s.
Yeah, well, they're incorrect. So I feel like we've gotten to a point where
is it time for?
I think it's time. I think
it's time for our fans who wrote in to get their questions answered.
This is our first time trying this. I hope it works for future people. I appreciate the people who
future people.
Yeah, the future people, the ones that'll see this. Shut the fuck up. Okay, so the first one we're gonna go with. This is from the homie Aaron Salen. I love that I can barely pronounce his last name.
You can barely pronounce half of our friends' names.
This is true. So okay, he says, if you could wrestle anyone, past, present, who would it be, and what kind of match, gimmicky wise?
All right, I feel like it's a loaded question in a sense because
can be
so many people, man, that I want to work. I wish I could just split it up into a couple, but honestly, I'm just going to pick one. I would say if I could do anybody in the ring, it would have definitely been Vader. Me and him would have had a great match, 100%, I think. Vader is a big inspiration for me, to be honest. I mean,
yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah, I've had people compare me to him, and that's always been like a great compliment to me. That's one of the biggest compliments I've ever gotten, because he is one of the best big men of all time, especially during his Japan shit, during his WCW stuff. Sure, his WWE shit didn't go very well.
The thing with Vader was kind of like the thing with the Road Warriors, and kind of the thing with New Jack. Hold on, pause.
What was that?
That's that's Grogu. We're leaving that in, you know that, right? I thought this place was haunted for a fucking second. Like that's was awesome. Really fucking weird.
He just wanted to join in the conversation. Okay, that's all.
Thanks, Grogu. Holy fucking shit. He's still talking.
He's still going.
And you know the best part about this toy, you can't fucking turn it off. It just does this shit every now and then.
Yeah, I don't know what I did, but I set him off.
Toy? That's so fucking cool.
Shush, we're trying to film, man. Come on. Anyway, as we were saying, you know, I don't know too much about wrestling, but I just want to put
shit broke me.
If I was to get to wrestle anybody, I think I'd want to wrestle Mick Foley, just because we could do a death match. He would take all the bumps and I would look like a G.
Oh, that's the best part about Mick. If you work with Mick, you know you're going to come out looking like a beast. He mentioned Vader. Mick and Vader kind of go hand in hand as to like two of the greatest workers ever, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. Well, I can relate to Mick a lot because, you know, you've heard the story with Mick. Vince didn't want shit to do with him because he looked at him and was like, oh, he doesn't have the body. He does all the hardcore shit.
And they put him in brown.
Yeah.
And as soon as they fucking saw him, though, you know, everybody just underestimates him. That happens with me a lot, especially when you see me without my mask and shit. Happens all the time. I'll go to a locker room. People will look at me and they'll be like, oh, what's up with that weird looking little fat fuck? Fucking little Benjamin Franklin fucking violator from Spawn looking.
Yeah, you got to be 7 foot and like just have the magnificent peaks of perfection.
Everybody's got to look like Scott Steiner,
but nobody can because he's perfection.
That motherfucker. Have you ever played the old Double Dragon games? Remember the character Abobo?
Yeah,
Scott Steiner looks like Abobo. I'm gonna put that one out there. This next question comes from the homie Shane Herb. He wants to know, who was your toughest opponent so far? Was there anyone that you underestimated?
I think I'm gonna say, all right, I don't know if I'd say toughest here, but out of everybody I've worked, my favorite like match right now out of everyone right now would be Atiba. Atiba is a dude who is out of Denver. He works for Rocky Mountain Pro, but he's worked for like OVW and shit too. He's making the rounds. He's doing shit. Uh, I didn't really know a lot about that dude before. Uh, I knew he did a karate gimmick. That's really all I knew. He seemed cool though, but like I said, I kind of was just underestimating maybe like his. I don't want to say I was underestimating his abilities, but I think I was to some degree. And then when we got in there, fuck man, that whole match was just gold. That dude made me look really good, and also his abilities in general were just over the top. He was awesome.
Okay. And the last question we have comes from the homie Jake Juggalo. He wants to know when you guys will be having a match.
When he gets trained and he comes
That's a motherfucking shoot.
when you get trained and you come to the US, we'll have a match. Because I already know damn good and well there might be wrestling in the Netherlands, but I don't know where the fuck it's at. And I highly doubt they're going to want to pay for my flight to come out there and wrestle.
So you get the ticket and you meet him here because flights are expensive as hell.
Exactly.
So that concludes our first ever Ask the Guest question segment.
We'll think of a better name later.
Oh yeah, because I whatever. You can pop up a little graphic or whatever because you can do that shit. But now we get to into my favorite part of this that I was waiting for. This is current wrestling. So what's your favorite wrestler right now?
Oh shit, bro, that's easy. Nick Gage. 100%.
Oh, the MDK motherfucking all day. That is. I'm a big fan of Nick Gage. I remember him coming up in XPW. Like I watched the death match that he, almost fucking died in when his arm was just gushing blood like a small little fountain.
Yeah, you watched him in CZW.
Yeah. CZW and XP, not really XPW, definitely CZW. And I remember him in the old Hate Club and with his brother Justice Payne before he passed away. All that shit. I can't really cross because it's a Jew and it'll burn me. But
sure,
we're kind of like vampires.
Oh, okay. Good to know. But garlic.
I actually like garlic. Just the cross, and you got to invite me in. That's why I couldn't get in your fucking house.
Oh, that makes sense now.
Yeah, that wasn't invited in.
Yeah, I was sleeping.
You sleep, fucking sleepy bear. Honestly, right now, my favorite gimmick, my favorite entrance, everybody, it's Malachi Black.
Oh, dude, he's great.
I was always a fan of Tommy End, and then when he joined NXT/WWE and became Aleister Black, I loved everything they were doing with him, and I love even more that he's basically stolen the gimmick from them and is growing it in the way he wanted it to, that they wouldn't let him.
Yeah, I love everything he's doing right now. I remember I did see him a little bit as Tommy. My buddy Rook ended up he would come over from Spokane and would work our shows, and we just watch wrestling every time, because he'd stay at my house, and he would show me all these people that he was checking out, and Tommy End was one of them. So I remember seeing him before WWE. I was like, this guy's good. And then I loved everything he did in WWE. I loved all the NXT stuff. I don't really remember a lot of any of the main roster shit he did because
it wasn't great, but that wasn't his fault.
Well, and I figured that. I know how they treat people there. I think that was around the time AEW was like really picking up. So I think that's when I stopped watching WWE as much.
Oh, have you actually completely turned out entirely? I have not yet, but those days are getting closer.
Admittedly, it's pretty much turned into that. Like there is once in a blue moon, I might turn on like NXT. Like I did that the other night. I vaguely watched it, but I really just kind of have background noise. It's not really even like a conscious decision, I think, half the time.
I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. I just watch wrestling.
I try to fucking watch Raw. I remember I did that maybe a month ago. And the first 20 minutes was just Seth Rollins talking. And I realized that I'm over that shit. I just want to watch wrestling. I don't want to fucking sit here. I mean, promos are great. But a 20-minute
and they have their
promo in
place.
ring-
They absolutely do. And I don't even mind a 20-minute promo as long as it leads to something that matters.
Well, like I remember, I've been to a handful of WWE shows now. I've been to two, on TV ones though. Like I went to Raw in Cincinnati, like right after the gathering, like the last gathering the boys did. I went with Rick and my homie Dilly, my homie Tim Todd. We all went, and our homie Steph. And it was cool as fuck going to Raw with all of them. But I remember during that show, I was thinking, I was like, man, there's a lot of just promos and a lot of dumb shit. And then when I went to SmackDown, I think like a year later, it was like the same thing. There wasn't a lot of wrestling. I want wrestling.
Well, they say they say the wrestling for the pay-per-views, and that's how they get you. But it's weird because the business you're in, it's one of the only businesses where you see people who continue to watch pro wrestling even though they're doing it. A lot of people that if they're playing minor league baseball, they're not really giving too much of a fuck what's happening in most major league teams, and you know what I mean. Yeah. So it's like it's such a weird thing that people in wrestling do, because a lot of people on TV talk about how they still watch pro wrestling even though they're playing the characters on TV and shit.
Well, I know for a lot of people, it gets to a point where you just kind of start watching old stuff only. I do that to a point, but I still keep up with current things. Like I said, I watch AEW. I always watch it every week. I keep up with GCW. I admit, since I'm trying to move, I haven't been ordering the pay-per-views as much. And I will give them my money to watch their shows. They're worthy of that.
It's only like $10-15. It ain't expensive at all.
Exactly. No more days of $79.99.
Well, no, those Vince would love for those days to come back.
I bet he would.
I mean, to a point, he still can make money doing that shit. But most people got the network. They got Peacock.
Yeah, Peacock sucks. I'm just gonna put that out there. Peacock fucking sucks.
Yeah,
the network was pretty cool. Peacock is fucking garbage.
The platform's weak, and then all the editing and chopping up and.
The editing is definitely what gets me on there. I'm happy that at least they have their library back to what it was, though. Like pretty much everything's back. It's just some shit's cut out. That's all.
Well, I gotta be honest, man. I'm really glad that you did this with us. This has been a really, really fun conversation. I think we've pretty much hit our limited time here.
Yeah. I mean, we got a pretty good conversation here. I actually got to feel a little bit of joy about wrestling, which it's been since about the Attitude Era.
I've been trying to get him back in. I'm working on it. I really wish you got AEW. I think it would bring you around. The last thing I want to say before we go any further, as far as wrestling is concerned, that there's never been a better time to be a fan. I feel it's so crazy to think about what even if you don't like, even if WWE is all you like, everybody, every company is pulling as hard as they can because there's a lot of the business that's dying away, and it's happening that way because fans are tuning out. So everybody's doing everything they can to keep you entertained. And as a fan, I'm fucking loving it.
Well, here's a tip, Mr. McMahon. As they were saying, honestly, as a super casual fan that has tried to get back in, the number one barrier is all your stupid story. That 20 minutes, half an hour of just a guy talking, I don't care either. If the serious fans don't care, the casual fans don't care. We don't need I just want to see people throwing other people around. I want to see people getting punched. That's why we watch wrestling. Like, that's what it's for. So maybe get back to that. Make the matches matter again. I won't say that fucking no. That's all I got.
Okay. So where can they find you on this little vast ocean of social media we're all surfing on?
Oh, I'm on all the platforms. You can find me Northwest Xuligan Jared Savage on Facebook, my Facebook page. You can find me on Instagram, official Jared Savage. Like I said, on TikTok, literally on everything, Twitter as well.
He's got a Pinterest where you can buy little like cozies for your drinks and shit.
No, but this man does have merch. Buy some fucking merch.
Yeah, he's got that fresh shirt he's wearing right now. You can own that. I'm not that one. That's his, but you can own one like it.
I'm sure if you offered him the right amount of money, you could have the one he's wearing right now.
He could even sweat it up for you.
Just buying another one. I'd just be like, all right.
See, I ordered one and I was hoping like hell I could wear it for the interview, but it's still shipping. So, you know, it is what it is.
Thanks, US.
Hey, I appreciate you getting one though. Thank you.
Dude, how could I not? It's so fucking fire. Just wanted to shout that out, by the way. That the new shirt design is so fucking dope. Everybody is finally getting to the point where they understand. Step up your fucking merch game. If you want to make money in any of this shit, have something for people to buy.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we have stickers. We have slaps for sale. What's that PayPal there, Paul?
Oh, it's Pics Pod. PICSPOD
at Gmail. Please buy these stickers. I have so many I want to get rid of.
Yeah, and then we're going to use that money to actually make some really cool new shit that is going to be super dope, and we really want to do that. So buy those stickers so we can get some other freshness made that's going to be even fresher.
He pokes me and yells at me when I don't say this. So like, share, subscribe. You know how to do all that shit. You're adults.
Yeah, but they won't, because they have to be reminded that the button's right there. All you got to do is push it. It's going to go gray. It's going to help us a lot. It's going to help you a lot. It's going to help everybody. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.